What if I told you there's a man who makes $50 million every single day, yet you've probably never seen his face? He doesn't run a tech company, he's not on Forbes, and no sitting president has ever been able to shut him down, while Fortune 500 CEOs sit on panels and give TED Talks. This man controls a hidden empire spanning 3 continents, powered by 3,000 employees, and protected by layers of shell companies, encrypted logistics, and political influence. His personal security budget alone surpasses that of some nations' defense ministries. He's never been arrested, never been photographed in public since 2019. Yet his operations move more capital daily than Netflix and Nike combined. And here's the kicker: what he does isn't new, but how he does it, blending luxury, legitimacy, and lawlessness, has made him nearly untouchable. By the 11-minute mark, you'll hear a detail that explains why even global intelligence agencies have walked away from investigations midway. Because dismantling him would mean dismantling pieces of the world economy. This is the story of Frank Lucas Jr., the man behind the untouchable empire. Imagine a supply chain so efficient, it rivals Amazon, but instead of delivering books or iPhones, it moves restricted goods across borders, through ports, even under the watch of customs without raising a single flag. Frank Lucas Jr. doesn't just move product, he moves systems. At the heart of his empire lies a network of 17 front companies on paper. They look like luxury dealerships, import-export firms, and high-end consulting agencies. But behind the polished branding, they serve a darker function: smuggling channels, hidden warehouses, and global drop points. Each vehicle in his dealership is more than a car, it's a shipping unit, sometimes with panels custom-built to hide contraband. Each consulting office is more than a workspace, it's a relay hub, coordinating encrypted shipments from South America to Europe to the US. Insiders describe it as a logistics machine dressed in Armani, but what's truly terrifying is that it works. His supply chain stretches across 3 continents, operates in real time, and even mimics legitimate fulfillment systems complete with tracking numbers, internal dashboards, and customer support for clients who can pay enough. Now here's where it gets wild. While governments scramble with outdated border tech, Lucas Jr.'s fleet includes private jets with disguised cargo holds, cargo ships registered under shell companies, and access to diplomatic channels in rogue states. His system doesn't evade detection. It makes detection impossible. And if that sounds like science fiction, consider this. In the past 4 years, not a single shipment linked to his operation has been intercepted. Not one. So the question is, how do you shut down something that's invisible by design? But you're also free to ask, has the line between legal and illegal trade already been erased? If Frank Lucas Jr.'s logistics are modeled after Amazon, his financial system is built like Goldman Sachs, only smarter. Forget duffel bags of cash and shady offshore accounts. Lucas Jr. hired Ivy League economists, former investment bankers, and elite auditors to build a laundering system so clean, it practically qualifies for a financial innovation award. Every dollar his empire touches is masked behind perfectly legal transactions. Real estate sales, consulting fees, invoice chains, even green energy grants. Need to move $40 million from Colombia to Zurich. It goes through a renewable infrastructure firm in Luxembourg, then into a cryptocurrency wallet in Singapore, before landing in a Delaware trust that owns beachfront property in Miami. Each layer is audited, each transaction has paperwork, and yet, not 1 cent is traceable back to the empire's source. An anonymous forensic accountant once said, if you handed me $10 billion of cartel money and access to Wall Street, I still couldn't replicate what Lucas Jr. built. His system even exploits regulatory blind spots. In countries where crypto laws are loose, he uses automated shifting wallets. In strict zones like the EU, he hides behind corporate bonds issued by dummy firms. Here's the twist. In Boy2, a well-known American hedge fund unknowingly invested $14 million into one of Lucas Jr.'s fronts, believing it was a clean real estate play in Dubai. It wasn't, but when regulators started asking questions, the ownership trail suddenly disappeared, erased from both public records and encrypted databases. It's not just clean money laundering, it's institutional invisibility. So what happens when a criminal empire launders money better than the world's most powerful banks? But you're also free to wonder how many of your retirement funds are entangled in this machine without you ever knowing. At this level of power, money alone isn't enough. You need insulation. And Frank Lucas Jr. has built it through politics. Over the past decade, shell companies linked to his network have quietly funneled over $2.3 million in campaign donations, not to push an agenda, but to buy silence. It's a bipartisan strategy. Lucas Jr. doesn't care who's in office. He cares who's willing to look the other way. Whenever an investigation heats up, files go missing, cases get reassigned, witnesses change statements, and the strangest thing, evidence stored in secure government vaults, disappears. A former federal agent once described it as chasing shadows inside a fog. Take this example. In 2020, a multi-agency task force launched a covert audit into a Miami-based firm tied to his empire. 2 weeks later, the audit was defunded. 1 month after that, the lead investigator resigned for personal reasons. That firm, still operational, still accepting contracts. This isn't just corruption, it's systemic codependence. Because once politicians accept protection money, they become part of the machine. And when that machine funds infrastructure, jobs, even voter outreach, entire cities become complicit. Lucas Jr.'s strategy mirrors that of Matteo Denaro and Ismael Zambada blend influence into governance until tearing one down would collapse the other. So the real question is, can democracy prosecute someone who subsidizes its elections? But you're also free to ask, is he corrupting the system? Or simply revealing how corruptible it already is? Frank Lucas Jr. isn't hiding in a bunker. He's hiding in plain sight behind the world's most extravagant lifestyle. Perfectly legal on paper, but built on invisible foundations. His official net worth is estimated at $2.88 billion, placing him above the CEOs of Twitter, Snapchat, and even Spotify. Yet, no public photo of him exists since 2019. His properties span from Swiss chalets to Dubai penthouses, each one held under trusts managed by offshore law firms. And while they look like typical billionaire investments, every square foot hides movement, leverage, or secrecy. Inside one estate in the French Riviera, a climate-controlled vault, not for cash, but for documents, ledgers, and ledgers that don't officially exist. His children attend elite academies in Switzerland, $100,000 a year sanctuaries, where their last name doesn't appear on any registrar. Meanwhile, his daily life is a lesson in operational invisibility. Transportation, a fleet of Gulfstream GS100s, registered under shell companies in the Isle of Man, Security X Special Forces teams, facial recognition gates, encrypted satellite paths. Every trip is a ghost move, every arrival undocumented. We can trace iPhones more easily than we can trace him. And here's where it crosses into absurdity. Some of his homes have dummy residence actors paid to host lavish parties, fake family holidays, even staged paparazzi shots just to throw off digital surveillance. It's not just about wealth, it's about optics control, reality distortion, narrative dominance. So when the richest shadow figure lives better and cleaner than Silicon Valley elites, we have to ask, is this a criminal hiding from the law or a new blueprint for elite immunity? But you're also free to wonder, how many billionaires do you admire who live exactly like this? Frank Lucas Jr. isn't an outlier. He's part of a disturbing new trend, crime syndicates that operate like global corporations. Just look around the world. Matteo Messina Denaro, the ghost of Sicily, ran an empire that shaped European trade policy. Ismael Zambada, the Sinaloa patriarch, embedded his cartel into Mexico's agricultural and healthcare systems. Dawood Ibrahim used Bollywood and real estate to launder billions, all under state protection. Lucas Jr. studied them, then surpassed them. He understood what they've all figured out. You don't need to hide from governments if you become part of them. His empire has investments in infrastructure, energy, logistics, even telecommunications. Some of his shell firms build hospitals. Others provide tech for fiber optic networks. They win public contracts, hire local workers, pay taxes. So if you shut them down, you're also shutting down jobs, utilities, and services. It's the same logic behind companies deemed too big to fail. Except here, crime is the business model. These empires don't rely on fear or violence. They rely on compliance, integration, and above all, perception. They wear the same suits, use the same banks, hire the same lawyers. And when you finally trace the money, you don't find a villain, you find a boardroom. This is what makes Lucas Jr. nearly invincible. Because unlike the mobsters of old, he doesn't need to control the streets, he controls the systems that run your streets. So when corruption is no longer an infection, but the entire bloodstream, who do you even arrest? But you're also free to ask, what if this is no longer organized crime, but organized reality? So, after all the front companies, encrypted finances, political buyouts, and billion-dollar disguises, what's the one thing that truly protects Frank Lucas Jr.? It's not the money, not the guns, not even the lawyers. It's the fact that dismantling him would dismantle us. His empire is so deeply embedded into legitimate systems construction, healthcare, telecom, finance that taking him down would collapse entire sectors. Pension funds would dry up, contracts would vaporize, jobs would vanish. This isn't just organized crime. It's a symbiotic infection, one the global economy now depends on. Governments have tried, agencies have investigated, and each time, someone pulls the plug not to protect him, but to protect everything tangled up in him. He's no longer a person, he's a system. So the question isn't, why hasn't anyone stopped him? It's, what would stopping him cost? Do you believe someone can be so powerful, so embedded, that law no longer applies? Or is there always a breaking point where even the untouchable finally fall? Comment below. Do you think wealth and power can protect someone forever? Or is downfall inevitable? No matter how high the walls are built,